Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on a Piney podcast where we talk about all things South Jersey. What's going on? Not much. The big storm's heading our way. Probably going to start tomorrow. So if you're in the area, watch out for some flash flooding. We're expected periods of 2 to 3 inches. So if you do get hit, you're going to be hit hard by water. Possibly some thunder and lightning, so watch out for that. But, flash flooding, definitely in effect. So be on the lookout tomorrow, South Jersey, and bring a rain slicker wherever you go. On the beer virus front, there's not a whole lot to report except the media's coverage of it. In New Jersey, what they're trying to push now is this idea, we're getting rising cases. Rising cases, says the New York Times. Virus cases are rising in New Jersey, spurred by young partygoers at the shore, says the New York Times. Yeah, partygoers at the shore. Joan's very upset when I mentioned the New York Times. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I won't say it again. So, but the stats are, today was 261 new cases, 16 deaths, which is a little higher. But it's, 261 is a lot lower. Okay? Yesterday we had over 500. So it's not totally true. Yes, the transmission rate is 1.114. Joan, you gotta calm down. So the transmission rate is a little up. It's a little up because people are starting to bristle under this. I told you. I warned you. Don't put draconian restriction. You're just going to end up with a fight with the populace, and now everything's going to go underground. It's going to be even worse. And what is Murphy's response to help things? Let's let loose 20% of the prisoners because that'll help things. While I understand maybe there's a few people in prison you could cut loose because they're nonviolent, it's not exactly a great time to be on the outside. Some of these prisoners are going to come out and they're not going to find jobs, and that's not going to lead to good things because they already committed crimes to get in there. So if your only recourse to make money is committing crimes and you've actually done it a few times, you might want to try to perfect your criminality, as it were. So I don't think this is a good case. If you opened up the state, look, here's my plan. Let me put my money where my mouth is. Here's my plan. What I would do is this. I would open up the state and I would say, look, we have to open the state, but you have to wear a mask. Not that I would pass a law, but you should wear a mask, you should social distance, and you should continually wipe things down. People over 50 have to be wary. People in the elderly categories should not go out at all. Okay? They shouldn't. And for working family members who are younger, who are out there working and exposed to all the various germs we're exposed with, they should limit their contact greatly and be extremely careful when interacting with elderly relatives. And then I would focus my resources on the nursing homes, on hospitals, and for people who have underlying medical conditions where the beer virus is extremely deadly to them. That's where we could put our resources. And I think that would be much more effective than trying to lock down a gym full of healthy people who are just trying to exercise. And look, the guys at Attila's gym, they did things that the state didn't require them to do. They're willing to do stuff to mitigate some of the virus. Everyone is. No one wants to get it. So coming up with even more draconian ways is not helping things because people don't like it. If they don't like it, they won't do it. And I know you could say, well, they have to do it because I'm the big daddy. Well, you can only push so much, okay? They'll just not do it anyway. Yeah, you can make it illegal and fine people. People will still not do it. There's all sorts of things that are illegal and people still do them. Hello, smoking pot's illegal. Do people still do it? Yeah, of course. So you can make all these draconian laws, but it doesn't mean people are going to obey them. You have to have a balance here. And the economic news came out today, and it's not good. It's not good. We are heading for a economic disaster. Was something I've also mentioned. It's part of the reason I kept my day gig. It's it's because the future does not look good economically. It looks like a lot of people are going to be out of work. And how much more money do you think you keep passing out to these people? That money won't last forever. That money will not last forever. And if you keep passing it out, the rest of us will take off too. I'll get myself fired. I'll go back on the dole. That's $600 a week plus with the money I was getting. Yeah, that doesn't sound too shabby. I could live on that. If I'm planning for it. Before I wasn't planning and I was freaking out about the virus. Maybe I'll plan for it. But that's not a way to live. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is go back to my life. I can't do that because for me personally, I had a plan to promote my books and comics and do a tour this summer in South Jersey. Can't do it. Everything's closed. All the comic book stores, the bookstores, the comic book conventions, nobody can go to them. And it's not that people don't want to do that. They still want to do that. They'll take precautions. They don't want people to get sick, but they still want to do it. I know 2 organizers who are older than I am, and they still want to put on their con. They have no idea if they can even do it. So, this is all a dog and pony show for the election. So, Tyrant Phil Murphy can gain more power so he can stop Donald Trump and do his part so the National Party can pat him on the head and say, good job, Phil. You helped get Joe Biden elected. Here's $10 billion to rebuild your state's economy, which won't work. You can't just throw money at the problem. Democrats have been doing that kind of stuff for years. It doesn't work. It's not how it works. It's not how the free market works. It's not how businesses work. You don't just throw money at people because we all know what happens. The politically connected get the money. Half the time they don't even need it, and then a bunch of it falls through the cracks because of corruption. It doesn't do anybody good. The Obama administration tried to jumpstart solar power. How'd that work out? Michael Moore made a documentary, or executive produced one, where they're talking about the carbon footprint of making solar panels is higher than what they can get out of them. So, what are we doing here? You're pushing a technology that's not quite there yet. Yeah, you could do stuff with solar power. I'm not against solar power, but personally, for my house, we had an evaluation. The guy looked at our house and said, no, you don't have enough sun. Won't work. What do you want me to do? I'm in a woodsier area. I can't have solar panels. It won't do me any good. There'll be a waste of money for me. What am I supposed to spend? I'm supposed to get on a program, get $50,000 of solar panels across my roof that don't pay for themselves? Doesn't make any sense. Not everybody lives in... There are some parts of the country, yeah, solar power makes sense. It makes sense for certain things at this level of technology. In the future, it'll be better. God, just have some damn patience. Anyhow, getting back to the beer virus, the reports are now being distorted to make it sound worse than it is. And again, it's not because it doesn't exist. I'm not denying its existence. I'm not saying it's not a danger, but I'm saying this is no way to operate. You don't scare people. There's an article somewhere. I couldn't find it again. I was looking at it on my phone at work. People aren't cooperating with the tracers. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Some stranger calls you from Trenton. Are you even going to answer the phone? No. You're going to give out a bunch of information to the government? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not obligated to. And that's exactly why Murphy's going to pass a law and try to scare everybody. If you don't cooperate with the tracers, well, you got to face a fine of up to $500. That's what it'll be. Something like that. Instead, he could just open the state. And this ain't going away. And there would be a bump in cases. But eventually, because of herd immunity, it would go down. And most people would be immune. Yes, people would die. Those people are going to die anyway. Unfortunately, if they get this virus, and everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to get it. Herman Cain just died. And of course, everybody on Twitter's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Guy died. You know, it's not something to celebrate. It's a shame that he died. He was an older guy. He was probably in the category of elderly. It's a dangerous disease, a dangerous virus. My folks are in that category. I don't want them to get it. But if the economy collapses, if we have 25% homelessness and, you know, people on some kind of weird UBI that's totally unsustainable, that's going to be bad for everybody too. And that's going to cause other problems that will cause people to die. That will cause more crime. That will cause more viruses. Yeah, because those desperate people, the last thing they're going to be worried about is their face mask or social distancing or whatever. They're going to do what they have to do to survive. Everybody does that. So, there's going to be people who resort to terrible things. And, you know, the virus is going to be the last thing on their minds. Yeah, so I say don't trust the media totally. I mean, look at the numbers. The numbers, again, are going down. Yeah, the deaths came up a little bit. Yeah, and if you open the state, they'd spike right up. But eventually they'd go back down. That's exactly what happened in Sweden. They're done with it. Okay? And the whole point of flattening the curve, in case you forgot, that was the whole beginning of this. Flatten the curve, flatten the curve. The whole purpose of flattening the curve was to dampen down the cases so hospitals won't be overwhelmed. At this point, you know, New Jersey was pretty infected, especially up north. Are the hospitals going to be overwhelmed at this point if we open things up? We weren't mitigating when this hit. We're mitigating now. It's not going to run rampant like it did in the beginning. It's going to spike up, but it's not going to run rampant because people will mask up. They'll social distance, especially when things start spiking up. And now this blaming, oh, we're going to blame house parties. What are you going to do? You're going to send the cops around to shut down house parties? I mean, really? We got a spike in crime all over the United States. Well, we got to break up house parties in case someone gets sick and might run into an elderly person. That's an unrealistic, unenforceable, untenable thing. That doesn't make any sense. Protect the elderly. Protect them. Go to nursing homes. Seal them as best you can. Look at their filtration systems for the air systems and, you know, lock them down to the point at which every molecule going through that ventilation system gets filtered with a high-end filter. Get some UV robots or whatever the hell they were. They were going to use UV robots out in Hollywood to clean the sets. That's another possibility. That's technology we have access to. We're blowing all this money trying to enforce something that's unenforceable. We could spend that money on upgrading nursing homes. I mean, are people against that? If we could open the state, upgrade the nursing homes, the state would start making money again. And yes, there would be a spike in cases, but the hospitals could probably handle it. If the hospitals can't handle it, you could always scale it back. I mean, we peaked out pretty high and we handled it. You know, there's a lot of extra ventilators and stuff around. And quite frankly, with hydrochloroquine, I don't know if we even need it so much. I think that should be, you know, passed out to the people who need it. And look, the survival rate on this thing, even at the elderly rate, is way above 50%. There's a 114-year-old guy who survived. So, what are we doing? The economic devastation's coming. Let's prep for it instead of like, oh, you know, what is Murphy going to say? Oh, it's such a surprise. I didn't think this would happen. I mean, the writing's on the wall. I don't know why crime spiked. I let out 20% of the prisoners. Why is crime spiking all of a sudden? This is crazy. So let's do the common sense thing. Let's help elderly people. Let's help people who have comorbidities. Let's upgrade our hospitals. That's where we spend our money. Not in this nonsense. Not in scaring people and having a press conference every day. That's for Tyrant Phil Murphy's political career.